Let's do it. All right, so here we are. We are live, and it is the first live stream on the brand new channel. So as always, if you are here and you are live, please help me out by going to the comments and letting me know, can you hear me? Can you see me? And then I'll feel good about it, because before I have started streaming with like bad sound, like literally static, and having no idea. So again, I see there's a couple people in the chat. Please let me know that it is all good. And in the meantime, while YouTube is blasting out the notifications, say, hey, come here, come to the new channel. If you're here, please hit the like button, and it will tell us, again, tell YouTube that we are here. Looking to the chat, and I see Paul. Thank you. Paul was chatting with me before, because I know he's making tea, and there's Jana. So some of the usual suspects are rolling in. But here you'll notice that I'm not alone. I managed to convince Sasha Yanshin to come here and help me like roll into this new channel and then say goodbye to 2020, whatever 2020 was for everybody. So thank you, Sasha, for being here. And
yeah, I was gonna say it's not only the first one on this channel, it's also the last one of the year. It's like doubly important, right?
Unless I get excited and decide to stream tomorrow, which is, there's no chance of that. What is up, Steven? Thank you for coming over from the old channel to the new. I really hope there's nobody over there wondering, hey, where is the stream? If they missed all of the messaging basically from the last month and are over there, I'm sorry if you're catching this on the replay, but we're going to be here for now. So, if you were here and you want to ask Sasha questions, you're welcome to. They are saying hi. They're saying what's going on.
Hi, Anna. I've got a weird setup where I have different things on different monitors. In case people haven't seen, well, nobody's seen really, but I've got a whole range of different screens, and I've tried to arrange it in the most convenient way. It probably means I'm going to be looking in exactly the opposite way to the camera. One of my screens is over here, which isn't very convenient, but.
So how much did you drop on your setup? Because so far,
I think it was at least $300.
Yeah,
maybe slightly more.
I've got my sound effects. Let's see. This is
that is effective.
Yes, it's like a $3 harmonica from a kid's toy store. Hey, Next Gen, what's going on? Thanks for dropping in. And I have the webcam that I use. So basically, the only real investment that I have like put into my YouTube setup is the microphone.
Well, like I think there's several reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing with my setup. The main one being that I want to give myself no excuses as to why I am failing at achieving goals. And usually I'm very good at blaming my like tech setup. So I've eliminated that one from my list of blames. And I have other ones like time and other good reasons like that. But hopefully we'll be able to achieve something.
Well, then let's talk about that. You say, okay, I don't want to use tech as the reason why I didn't get to my goals. So what are your current goals right now? I mean, and folks who are here who have probably already seen the interview that we did a couple weeks ago, but those things change. You say, okay, what do I really want to accomplish in 2021?
Yeah, so I mean, my main goal is really simple, which is I want to make this my full-time gig, if you like. So I'm sort of, when I try to start doing something, I have a tendency to go at it a little bit too hard. It's just my personality. Like I decided I didn't like working in the types of firms I was working in before, and I went and started sort of doing my own thing, which very quickly became sort of a lot bigger than I initially anticipated it being, running a business and stuff. And I think I'm falling into the same trap here, which is I kind of want to build this online content business, but I'm not in. I kind of get bored just sitting there, sort of whipping out the 101st blog post along exactly the same lines. And so I want to have a bit of variety, but I also want to kind of figure out ways that I can do it more effectively, more efficiently as well. And so this whole kind of setup is part of that. And I kind of did some thinking around what the best strategy is for getting to the place where I'm able to earn something that'll be a reasonably good full-time income next year. And that is the prime reason why I'm doing so much YouTube at the moment. That is a very big part of the plan, because you can grow with YouTube a lot more quickly if you do the right things. than you can with building a blog. I mean, a blog is way more passive, and I love stuff there a lot more because it's analytics and stuff, which I like. But the speed of building an online business through YouTube, or actually through a combination of YouTube and a website together, is far greater. So here we are.
So you said if you do I'm gonna put up my air quotes, the right things. What does that mean? What are the right things? Because I don't know if I'm doing the right things.
Well, so from my perspective, like I'm a nobody, right? I've just started. I'm completely new at this, and I've literally only been doing this a few months. So I'm nobody to teach people. I got a Christmas present, which informs me of how many subscribers I have on my channel, which is.
Or does it just correspond? It just updates automatically. It's just.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was like a guy in Greece who makes these, and he normally programs them by you giving him the information of how to connect to your account and stuff like that. But as my wife was getting it for me as a present, she couldn't get all the information, and so I had to spend a few hours programming it myself afterwards, which I did enjoy. I enjoyed improving some of the way that it was working and making it faster in the process. But anyway, it's a whole separate story. So
it doesn't need to be like attached. You could literally just carry that around with you everywhere. So you could be like, I'm at the store and be like, oh, how am I doing?
It needs Wi-Fi. It needs to program the Wi-Fi stuff into it.
I might just like put that on my shoulder and like walk around and be like,
yeah. But yeah, so that was. I completely lost track of what I was talking about.
No. You need to put it behind you, like right back there in the back, so that it's like right over your shoulder, so that everybody can see every minute how many subscribers you have.
Unless we're planning to have sort of a week-long live session, that probably won't be the most entertaining way to do it. But anyway, so
it would be funny to see things like going the wrong way, right? Like you could see over your shoulder like a real-time data of how you're doing.
So I think is it. Like in answer to that original question, what are the right things? I think the way you structure your channel like strategy in terms of like the structure of the content and the way that you produce several different types of hubs and how you arrange those hubs and the kind of content you produce in terms of like gauging the interest of your existing audience, working for search, working for interest. And I think that interest pillar is the one that very few people who teach stuff on YouTube really talk about, but I think is becoming like the most important way to grow your channel. So people talk a lot about what's interesting to your audience, but when you don't have much of an audience, that's a moot point, right? The second one is people talk a lot about search, like almost everyone who teaches this stuff talks about search. And while I think that's good, like some of my videos that I've done do really well on search. My very first video that is the best credit cards for beginners in the UK continues doing really well on search. But I think that interest piece is the way that you can grow and scale your channel. And that is YouTube wanting to show your content in just like suggested videos or on the homepage or on various other sections of YouTube, because that's where the majority of people discover stuff. People don't go like searching for things anywhere near as much as just randomly browsing, right? And so I think like trying to figure out how you can get into those spaces, that's what I'm beginning to have quite a lot of success with on YouTube.
So you say, I'm beginning to have success. What are you doing to, I mean, I hate the word optimize, right? Because everybody loves to use the words optimize and scale like they mean something. But really what we're talking about is getting your video on the browse page, right? Yeah. So what do you do, if anything, affirmatively to get your video on the browse page or get suggested? Or is that just a function of people watching it and then the metrics being good?
Recently, I've been doing so for example, like one that I've done recently where I specifically made the video exactly for this intent is one that's titled, what is it titled? It's 7 critical things to know about ISAs. And ISAs are a UK tax privileged way of either saving or investing money. There are several different types. There's one for stocks and shares, one for just putting into a savings account, similar in a way to like Roth type accounts in the US. But basically, you can go and invest money and not have to pay any form of capital gains or any other income tax or dividend tax or anything.
So did you start then? Your seed keyword was the ICE thing? Or like what was it?
So this is the thing. I'm not targeting a keyword. So the point of the video is like with these types of videos, you would probably do a lot more research and a lot more like thinking of some really interesting stuff that would keep the audience engaged. So once they click through, you then want to keep them engaged, but not by keeping something to the end, or like by doing a bait and switch, or like or holding their attention by promising something, but more like, so in this one, like I have I think it's 7 different points, and they're all like quite interesting. And most people, even people who use these products, will probably not know them, but they are actually quite like useful and interesting if you do happen to know about them, because they can either improve your understanding of the product, your use of the product. I'm not going to go into the depths, but the point here is that YouTube likes showing stuff that is auxiliary to the content that you're already watching and interested in, but maybe takes a slightly different angle on it, or maybe like would interest you in a slightly different way. So I don't know, like let's take some topic that a lot of people probably would understand. Like, for example, if you like watching Cinema Sins or something like that, there's these kind of like fake movie trailer type things which take the mickey out of movies. But for example, you watch something like that, the general entertainment thing, and they'll begin showing you other general entertainment channels that talk about something very, very similar. Hey, Luke.
Not to throw you off your game or anything there. You stop to say hi, then it's like,
no. So they begin thinking, well, if you're interested in this general topic, this other thing, when YouTube says, when I've shown it, are you about to play something?
No, Derek, I blasted Derek's eardrums out a couple of weeks ago by playing the harmonica up too close to the thing.
Yeah. Nice interview, Luke. I watched the whole 1 hour, 10 minutes or whatever this morning.
Oh, yeah. I do want to interrupt Sasha, because we are live and we could do this, and just welcome Luke Jordan. Luke, I wanted to tell you that I've gotten lots of comments. I mean, I know the video isn't like viral or anything, but several hundred people have watched it, and many of them have reached out to me and just to say how much they liked you. And that seems maybe to come to a surprise to you, because you're like such a really humble guy, but basically the feedback has been almost entirely positive. So I don't know what you could take from that, but take good things from it, please. That's all I'm saying. Also, I see Jesse. What is going on? Thank you for dropping in. And then Tortoise Cashflow. Your name is Anthony. I feel like it is Anthony. If I'm wrong, please remind me and correct me, because I'm going to get this right. I am. And then,
well, the person's driving, so they're not going to help you out, but is Tortoise Cashflow in some kind of very slow kind of cash flow? Is that? I
think that's the idea, right? It's going to take a while, but if you just stay with it, the rabbit and the tortoise and the hare, like, I'm going to get there. I like it. Luke says, thanks, everyone else. I'll let Sasha do his thing. No. Don't worry about interrupting, because basically, like, when you guys talk, then I have to talk less. And that is always a good thing for everybody.
I think is my internet going real bad? Because I can see myself really pixelated.
Yeah, that does happen. That's why I don't use like a really high level, high def sort of video, because then my Wi-Fi, when it goes sideways, it's just kind of the same. It started bad and now it is bad.
It's 6:15 here, so I'm guessing it's just everyone in the village has stopped working and begun watching Netflix. So
which they will do for the next 4 or 5 hours until they go to sleep. So
it's right. I've just pulled a switch, and I think it's better now. I just pulled a switch which cuts all my non-priority internet connections on the computer. We're all good.
I also want to welcome Niche Safari Chris. I'm a huge fan of Niche Safari Chris. And Sasha, if you don't know Chris,
I do know we're in a thing.
Oh, you guys, it's already a thing.
Yeah, we're in a what are we in? What's it called? I keep forgetting. I've got too many of these different things.
Is it a Discord? Yes. Well, I just whenever I get a chance, I like to shout out Chris's Discord, because there's a lot of people out there who come to these streams looking for community. And Chris's Discord is the one that he's growing for his accountability group. There are a lot of people in there who are really, really focused. And people who don't like Facebook, that's a really great place to go. So Chris says that you guys have a secret thing.
First rule of secret things is to not talk about secret things, right? So
yes, well, let's talk about it.
I'm doing a double bluff. I'm pretending there's no secret thing by talking about secret thing, even though there is a secret thing.
Well, the reason that I bring it up, Luke, is that your presence has been requested in some of these secret things. So if you would like to not get involved in a secret thing, then don't text me or reach out to me, and I won't tell you about the secret thing. So how's the new channel going then? The Sasha Yanshin story. I saw that you had 127 subs now.
Yeah, it's slow mainly because I started it in December, just before Christmas, and I've not had as much time over Christmas just because like I tried to do what the right thing and spending time with family rather than shooting. It's crazy. I know it's crazy. Yeah. So I've not been producing as many videos. Like I didn't make the Monday video this week on my main channel. So it's been a bit slow, but it's going okay. I've got a long-term plan with it where I intentionally originally produced a bunch of videos that would not do well on any of the things I mentioned. That would not do well on search, that would not do well on interest or anything like that. They're formative videos that I think people maybe coming in the future would then find useful and interesting should they then look back to see what is this channel actually all about. So they're kind of like placeholders for retaining people who land.
That is actually a really great and important point, is the library that you have, because you're right, because people maybe catch a video and then they will go to your main channel and decide, should I subscribe to this person? And so that is a great place for people to have like the best of their library. And not just that, but like setting up so that above the fold, when they go there, the first thing they see is like these amazing things that they should stop and watch. And that tip right there, I really do think gets me subscribers, because they go there and they're like, oh my God, look at all this stuff. I would like to watch that.
Yeah, Yana is mentioning that starting in December and having 100 and something subscribers, I think it's 120 subscribers, is not slow, but almost all of them, I think, just popped over from my other channel, which happens to have 5,000. So it's not really any kind of achievement at this point in time.
Yeah, but I kicked Luke's butt about this a couple weeks ago, and about perspective. And I think when we get in the game, I hate people call it the game, but I don't know what else to call it, because it doesn't feel like a business a lot of times. But it's the perspective is so important, because you think of the first time you did it. Now you started a YouTube channel and it just went. So you didn't have that experience, but I had the experience where I went 12 months, 12 months, 12 months, my first 12 months on YouTube, and I had 46 subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
you're keeping it going for that long is pretty good though.
Oh, well,
without that feedback loop, it's kind of reinforcing that you're doing the right thing.
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't doing the right thing. That's why I had 46 subscribers. But I had so many things to work through to get there.
But the important thing is to not measure yourself against other people, because some people will spend far too long trying to think like, am I on track because I am looking at what other people are doing? But and they go and compare, obviously, as we all do, to like the best possible example out there, and you'll go and find this one channel that is just exploding. Like there's always one in your niche that just goes into something miraculous. Like there's a guy that turned up in the UK personal finance industry that turned up this year and like went to like 200,000 subscribers in a few months. And obviously there are other things at play. Like he built up a TikTok audience first and then moved them over, and a few other things like that. But if you don't know it, then you're going to be thinking, oh my God, I'm way behind, right?
So do you have plans for TikTok then? Is that what we should take away from this? Or are we going to see you
I tried doing a few videos. I just think for personal finance, it is like, I think you can do it, but I just feel like the main thing that I've realized in the second half of this year is that like with limited time, you have to be extremely like strategic about picking your battles and where you're going to be playing, and you can't win them all. And I'd rather win some rather than sort of like just turn up to many. This is one of those where I don't really agree with the Gary Vee mentality of you got to be everywhere. You got to be on Twitter. You got to be on Facebook. You got to be like in groups. You got to be making 25 videos a day. Because
you have to have a team to do that. I just don't think it's possible to do that.
But he tells people that you need to, the hand-to-hand combat. And there's one thing where I just don't really fundamentally agree, because I think picking a small number of battles strategically where you have a chance of like doing all right is better, and focusing on them for a while. And then when you have a team, sure, go and expand your network, go and begin targeting new things. But I kind of feel like you just need to prioritize, because, like, especially regular people who, like, I know he has kids, but apparently lives in either his hotel room or in his office or whatever But like other people choose to say, well, I am going to have other things in life. I am going to spend time with, my family and other things. And if you are genuinely going to be going out there producing that volume of content, you can't. So.
All right. Well, then that brings up then the ideas of multitasking. And that is what we are going to do right now. I'm actually going to multitask with you because I actually need your help. And I also need the help of the people who are in the chat. So as we have talked about, this is the inaugural, the launch, the first stream on the new channel. And right now the channel is called Emilia Gardner Live because I couldn't think of what else to call it because I made it on like a whim. And there are all of 13 people here today. But I want to call it, like, I want to give it like a show name. I want to think of it more like a show, like CoffeeZilla when he split off his live stream from his main channel. He's like the CoffeeZilla guy, and so he named his show The Drip, which just as far as like referring to it, it's just really easy to do. And so you are like an ideas guy. And so now that I have you here over here, what should we call this thing? It's like so far,
I know, I'm just multitasking and smashing your like button while you're talking. So there we go. It's at 6 now.
What's up, Will? Thanks for dropping in. So yeah, it's like that's the thing is I want to come up with a new name for it, but I don't know. I'm not. I have a really easy time coming up with ideas for other people, but then for myself, I'm like, Durr.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if it was me, I'd probably go along the same lines of what I did with my like the Emilia Gardner conversation or some other. As in, like the reason I called mine like the story is because it is going to be a lot more involved and a lot more sort of like I'm going to show you what I'm doing as much as telling you my opinions on because at the stage where I don't have any proof of knowing stuff. I have theories. I have some very limited data based on like, a blog that's doing all right, but only a few $1,000 all right, not sort of like breaking records all right. So the story bit is sort of trying to bring that humility / explaining that I'm still in the process of learning and you can go and look on the journey of learning with me. So because you're trying to have a live channel, which is all about talking live and, interacting with your audience live, I don't know, something that goes with that along the lines of conversation or something else. I don't know. That's
the thing is, Will says the evergreen gardener, which, it's like playing on my name, right? It's Gardner. And then the point of this is, well, it would be awesome if live stream content was evergreen, but he's thinking. So if you're in the chat and you guys are here, like, help me think of something easy, something that just rolls off.
Go down the CoffeeZilla train and just like come up with something super random, like shovels and pitchforks or something. Also goes into the Gardner thing. But
CoffeeZilla wasn't random, right? Like maybe CoffeeZilla was random, but then the live show name isn't random because it's still coffee. Like it's still in the coffee theme.
I'm waiting for the 2021 reveal that CoffeeZilla is actually the same person as Graham Stephan just via a deep fake, because the whole coffee connection, the whole 25-cent coffee, they both have
I think it's 20 cents. Isn't it 20 cents, not 25?
Is it 20 cents? I don't know.
And avocado toast, right? Like that's you want to talk about things that Graham Stephan does really well. Like he constantly pulls in these different elements, and then he's like his 20-cent iced coffee. And his I got Will and Paul going deep on some ideas. The Mega Live, it could go with the whole making the internet great again, like stick with that theme. I could call it tea time.
Get a red cap.
I actually have some merch ideas planned for myself, not because I want to sell them, but because I think it would be fun. Tea time is because I'm always streaming basically when everybody in Europe is eating.
No, only people in the UK. Everyone else in Europe eats at like normal times, like 9-10 p.m.
That's a normal time.
It's a UK thing to eat. Well, for the rest of Europe, it is, yeah.
I'm in bed by then. Dana says she likes the tea time, but I drink coffee. Tea is like taking grass and throwing it in water. It's not good. Oh, did I just say that? Did I just say I don't like tea? Are the UK guys gonna come for me right now?
They're all dropping. Like 3 watching now.
The onesie show. What I do need to do is invest in more onesies, because that is becoming my trademark now, is live streaming it in onesies. Luke's like, okay, fine.
But there's grass to be consumed via mixing it in some hot water. So
the decaf onesie TH show. Oh my goodness. So 20, Paul's like, peace. He's like, see you later. Blasphemy.
What are you planning for 2021, Emilia? What's your big strategy?
You know, I've been thinking and talking a lot about this lately with folks, and actually people are jumping off. How funny. They're like, I'm offended. Cancel culture. No, you know, I was talking with Luke about this actually, and I've been talking with Chris also as well, just about goals, because I really think goals are important, but not just goals for the sake of goals, but also coming up with a plan to get there. Because just saying I want to win the internet, I mean, without a plan or a purpose, that doesn't get me very far. So I'm in the stage where I'm setting, you know, the overarching goal, like the theme. And so the theme of 2021 is my 10K year. And so my goal is to get to 10K on YouTube, 10K downloads on my podcast, and then $10,000 a month across all of my stuff. And so basically, I mean, I don't talk tons about my income because I don't think that that's really important. Although people love to know, like they would love to see into your underwear, or if they could get away with it. But for me, that is basically doubling where I am now. So, and it's not just my online stuff, it's my offline stuff. Like I'm working on all kinds of stuff. It's not all here, but basically I want to double that position. So not necessarily have every month in 2021 be a 10K month. I just want to get there. Yeah. So this is the road to 10K in the three major things that I do. And my strategy for 10K is, rather than getting 10K in one particular thing, I like having multiple streams, because I'm always worried about one just going and then being gone. So, you know, the algorithm, you know, hits it, or something gets lost, or you forget to do something. So I've been pushing on developing a $1,000 income streams and just trying to create as many of those as possible.
That's what I'm doing. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah. But instead of focusing on them all, which is what I have done up to this point, I'm just going to focus on my podcast, on YouTube, and on the websites stuff. So instead of going, because I've done Skillshare and I've done lots of other stuff. I'll just say I've done KDP. So I have small amounts of money coming in from Amazon KDP and from these various affiliate programs and all the rest, but it just got to focus. So Jana says the 10K show. I mean, maybe it's the road to 10K, right? This is the road to it.
Well, you're going to update the name of the channel every year. It's going to become the 100K show.
That seems like a huge jump to go from 10K to.
That's how scaling works, Emilia.
Yeah, well, you have to use the word scale.
The sky is your limit.
You have to use the word scale, because I feel like optimize and scale are just words that people love to use.
I'm doing it for the YouTube algorithm, of course.
Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I just got to say that. Will asks, how does Skillshare go for me? Well, I had the goal of getting to $1,000 a month on Skillshare, and I got about halfway there in the middle of the pandemic, and then I got distracted by YouTube. So it bounces around between $300 and $500 a month. And it's just one of those things where I think that it would do a lot better if I was all in on it versus YouTube plus podcast. I also think I need to get better at making the kind of content that performs well in Skillshare, and I'm not that good at it. And
do you think you might drop something next year in order to prioritize?
Well, Skillshare is one of those that's going to come off the primary focus list that has been a focus, and also developing some of these other Skillshare-like platforms. Like I did a project with Listenable. They reached out to me. It's a newer platform, and you know, it's like these days where it would take me 3 days to create something for them, and then that's 3 days that I didn't spend on other things. And I did this multiple times in the year last year, and it was great fun, and I learned a ton, but it definitely drew away from my focus on these other things. So YouTube and the websites are going to be the primary focus, and the podcast is important to me because it is it is the source of so many of my other relationships, which also are valuable. So I'm not going to give up that.
Chris reckons you should go for the income stream. I'm thinking maybe the income college or university or something like that, sort of as the next step up from being a school.
Isn't that what Pat Flynn calls his stream? Is the income stream? I think Pat Flynn calls it the income stream. And so if I chose the income stream, then that would
get in there and trademark it if he hasn't done it already.
I don't know. I wonder if he has. Now I'm curious because he even has like a jingle and stuff for like he started his income stream when the pandemic really hit, and he's like, I'm gonna go live every day until
I saw that.
Yeah, no, it's the income stream. It is. Jesse says it is. Yeah, so that is a good one, and Pat Flynn and all of his genius already got it. Yeah,
well, Pat Flynn's actually an interesting example. Like you were asking me right at the beginning, what are the important things in building a YouTube channel? And like he was kind of one of the examples that I took of like the guy obviously knows a lot, right? He's been like there longer than any of us. He's built an empire around this, but in terms of like YouTube strategy, him and a few other people that I kind of have been looking at in this building an online business space, like Roberta Blake and other ones, like I was trying to figure out like what is it about their channels? Like they're great people, right? They know a lot. They have large audiences, but yet very few people watch their videos relative to the size of their audience. And I was trying to figure out what is that, and that kind of engagement. I think this is the same as what you're doing with your channel. That engagement element is the bit that's missing, which is if your topics are very broad in nature and you have a really large number of different people interested in different parts of what you talk about, like not everyone, some people watch him because they like him. Some people watch him because they want to start a podcast. They're already doing it and they're looking for tips. Some people want general business running tips. Some people want to know how to write a book. Other people want to know how to build a successful website, sell courses. And as a result, like you go so broad that people begin being so self-segmented into different parts of your content, like they kind of lose interest. And even the people that are interested in that particular bit of content, they might have lost interest 5 weeks ago when the last piece on that came out. They won't even find this week's that you just released. And so I think it's like, how do you piece these things together so that people interested in some parts of what you talk about would be interested in most of what you talk about?
Well, the problem too is that I think that the reason people subscribe to your channel, like the reason that they had a need at the time, maybe it was entertainment, maybe it was information, but that need doesn't necessarily have to be evergreen. Like that need often is satisfied, and people outgrow the reason why they subscribe to you. So maybe people subscribe to channels like mine because they want to learn how to start a blog, and then they learn how. And so then that need to continue to consume content about that is done. And maybe maybe it's not that they're bored or that the content is bad or too broad. That need is not something that you service anymore because it's not a need for them. I think a lot of people, and I have had this too, where I follow channels and then I just outgrew them. I don't need to get content anymore that's how to set up a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And so how do you serve people in their growth, right? How do you serve? And that's something that I've been actually talking a lot to people who are subscribed to my channel is, what do you need? What kind of content do you need? And a lot of the people who are more experienced are like, I don't need content. I just need to work.
Well, that's the difficulty where you're primarily with almost any niche, not just the niche that we're in, targeting people who are relatively new to the niche, who need that initial kind of bit of help, that initial where do I start? Because people who do know quite a bit about it, they either need far more advanced topics, which if you were to produce YouTube content about, that content would collapse because there'll be so few people interested in it, or they just don't need the help. They just need to just get a kick up the butt to go and do the work, right? Like you're saying. So yeah, it is tough because you're essentially always sitting at that funnel of people first turning up, and once they progress, how do you retain their interest?
Yeah, well, you're looking at that, you're saying, oh, these big channels that they don't get that many views, and what does that mean, right? And there's so many meanings you could attach to that, not just that maybe they're not doing a good job, but that people change.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying I was saying like I think that they are great at what they do. I was just basically saying that I don't want to fall into the trap of producing content that goes down that path, and that's why I'm trying to structure my things slightly differently intentionally, just because I see that these people who know far more than I do have this issue, and I'm trying to see how can I avoid this issue from the outset.
I think the people who do really well as they go on is that people subscribe for them as the person. So it really doesn't matter what content you create. They're for you as a person. And how do you find those people? They'll watch anything. They'll watch you like sit there and like work on your computer. And
well, if that's why people subscribe, I am doomed, because I'm like the most boring person you're gonna find out there. Like, I can just sit there staring at my computer for a few hours straight, doing just like writing some code or something. I have the personality of a stone, and like my voice is so monotone and boring. Like my wife can't hear me when we're driving because it just like blurs into the background engine noise.
The sound of the tires on the road, that's you.
Yeah, that is basically, it's exactly, my mouth opens and she just can't hear what I'm saying because it's exactly the same. So I kind of suffer from that.
That is like the quote of the interview, basically, of the show. I have the voice of car tires running on the road.
But I guess there's some positives out of that, which is if I can get anyone other than my mum watching my videos with these kind of amazing characteristics, it means anyone can do it, really, which people should find reassurance from. With
a $300 setup. I
started with my phone propped up on some books for the first, I don't know, 50 videos. So I preach what I tell people. Like
I preach what I tell people.
I preach what I do. Whatever.
I practice what I preach.
Get that one. Get a phone, stick it on some books. That should do you just fine. Like window light. Like, yeah, I mean, nobody could hear me. Like just today, I got 3 comments on different videos saying, "Sasha, you should invest in mic." Like one of the very early videos. I can't hear you.
Stiggs wants to know if you're going to go into ASMR.
What is ASMR?
It's those videos that they're nothing but like the sounds, like people like.
Oh. My voice is so like, I'm not. Do people want like? Is it like a sort of a weird reverse kind of?
Some people like something that people get out of the sounds, like maybe it's soothing or it has some psychological.
But my voice is neither soothing nor interesting in any way. It'd just be like boring. I mean, like.
The thing is, so it's like, it's not just that, it's like the sounds of things. So like there's a gal that I follow who occasionally produces ASMR videos. It's just her chopping food. Like that's the sound. And then some people will do like themselves eating, which I think would probably be the least attractive sound to listen to while working, is somebody chewing.
I don't know. I don't understand that niche. Like I think that's actually a really interesting topic for this conversation, which is, I think a lot of people when they talk about starting an online business, buying a website, starting a website, there's a lot of this. And I think this particular niche might be good for earning money, or like, there's not much competition, therefore I'm going to start a website, as some people have recently done, about like cement, and then a month later sell it because it has 100 articles, whatever. But I kind of am exactly of the opposite view, which is, if you want to start a business that you're going to succeed with and for the long term, you need to start it in something you actually understand, like have some kind of interest in. Even if you're not actively doing it, at least have enough interest that it would sustain you for like a few years worth of doing it. Because like too many, I just see so many people, I start a new blog or whatever. And if you're not genuinely passionate about that topic, you might be able to push yourself for a few months, maybe even a year, but you're not gonna be sitting there going, I'm gonna whip out my 117th post today, because you're just bored out of your mind doing it. And I think that's a really important topic. Like if something's just not your thing, I would just like tell people you shouldn't go and do it, because you will most likely not get anywhere. But
I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think that for people who are in their initial stages of looking at this like a business rather than a hobby, I agree, because you don't have any wins yet. You don't know what you're doing. And so you need something to carry you through, right? Something to get you back to the computer, something to inspire you and motivate you. But I think for me, being a couple years down the road, that I don't necessarily need that inspiration on the topic anymore, because I'm inspired about earning the money that comes from it. I'm passionate about the business, so it doesn't matter the topic anymore. I will write about cement. I'll write about dirt. I have written about all kinds of things that I don't find interesting because I'm impassioned.
I'm with you. I'm passionate about the money as well, but I think even that can eventually dwindle just by you just have so little interest in the topic that you just die. Even though you know that if you produce these 1,200 words, then eventually you might begin generating $30 a month or whatever it is. I think even knowing that, if the topic if you have no interest in it whatsoever, I just think it's that much more difficult. I think most people have enough things in their life that genuinely are interested in to pick something that would give them that extra, oomph when they're trying to decide, like, should I do some work on it or not? Should I just spend a bit longer on it, etc.? And I think that makes a big difference. I don't know.
I'm going to go to the chat, and Stiggs asked the question, and your picture is hilarious. You mentioned that Luke was your inspiration. How so? And the video that he's referring to is my update video, my 21 months in case study video update. And in it, I mentioned that I was inspired to create the video by Stiggs. And it wasn't just specifically the video, it's just his whole style. After talking with him, and he's like so open and honest, he's like, this is me. This is how it worked. He had that project that he started earlier in the year that didn't go the way that he planned, and he got off of YouTube for a little while because he was embarrassed, and then he came out and said, here's what happened to it. And I realized it's like, more of us need to do that because it's so valuable. And so that actually got me off of my butt to actually make that video. And I've gotten a lot of positive comments about it. People saying, hey, this video was really helpful, even though, obviously we'd love to have seen that project go better, but here's what we can learn from it, and we can all learn from it. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Stiggs. Basically, I was really impressed with what he was able to do, and I wanted to do a better job of being open and honest. So, and just getting over myself, which has been a problem that I've struggled with the entirety of my time on YouTube. He said, so pushing on with the site. Yeah, I'm not giving up on it. I have so many ideas for that site. I totally do. So that site it was my project site from about almost 2 years ago, Sasha. And what I did is I just wrote on everything I could possibly do, like what that I thought would fit in within the niche, because you go to all these sites, that they're, they're big and they write on all kinds of things. I'm like, I'm going to do that, and just focused on really low competition keywords. But now I think that I didn't dive deep enough into the specific topics, even though they do fall under the umbrella of that site. So I'll have, one article about this topic and one article about this topic. And so I didn't really build a whole lot of anything clustered around that particular topic. So it generally falls under the umbrella niche, but not too deep as far as the library on those articles. And I think Google doesn't know what to do with those. They don't rank well because they're not that, there's not a lot of strength in the website.
I think at the end of the day, it's the same stuff on YouTube. It's the same stuff on website, which is ultimately whatever Google is doing, they're trying to measure like what is the user experience, right? So the user turns up for this one particular specialist article, and people measure it in links or internal links or all kinds of weird and wonderful ways. But ultimately, it's if I turn up and then there's a plethora of information that is hugely relevant, like stuff down the sidebar, tools within the website, additional things, or you can click here and read something else that's not quite the same but tangentially related. Suddenly, like, the user is getting way more value. Same with the YouTube content, where you have that model of producing content where it all complements like the other bits. And so if somebody watches one, they might really be interested in this other piece as well afterwards, and then they kind of stick around, and that's what YouTube like. So ultimately, I think the thing you're trying to solve is the same across all of those things. And so to your point, like, yeah, it's just like that's the reason I think why you need to pick slightly narrower niches and then kind of begin clustering them. Yeah, it's just
Luke,
if you were
apparently,
go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to say, if you're turning up and you're finding, like, what would you want? to have on there if you were that reader? Like, what other questions might you have? And don't do the stupid thing of just like answering a few questions at the bottom of the post to try to rank that, but just like produce real value through this additional content that is related.
So apparently Luke has a limited set edition of posters of himself. So Luke, when you release those, please let us know, because I will put one right here. You think I'm joking, but if you sent me a poster, your face could be right here. And then there's a question.
I know what these posters are going to be.
Said, am I right in thinking, remembering you coded your site from scratch? So are we talking about your road trip site that you have?
Yeah, well, all my websites, they all live on the same platform. It's like a content management platform that I built myself, that I really like, because it does several things. It's one, like insanely fast. I have pages with an incredible amount of stuff going on, score like 99 or 100 or whatever on mobile. It is two, entirely flexible, so I'm not dependent on there being a plugin, and that plugin might slow down my website. I can introduce anything I like without it affecting the speed, because I can lazy load everything and I can sort the code out. I really like that. And also I have this added benefit, which I personally really like. I know you can sort of do the same with WordPress in a way, but it's usually not very good if you're running slightly different websites. But all of my different sites run off the same backend platform. And what that means is if I like want to improve some code or whatever, it kind of like propagates to all of them. I have no. Luke's asking how many hours of coding. I don't know. It's like a passion. Like, to be fair, it's one of those questions which really depends on how good you are at coding, because it's one where, like, if I answered that question like 3 or 4 years ago, it would be like a month of coding full time. If I had to go and replicate this exact system now, I could probably do it in 2 to 3 weeks. But it really depends on how many. Like, for example, I have a custom photo uploading tool that I built myself from scratch, and this tool does stuff that you don't get in WordPress, which is I upload the giant photo, and it automatically creates like 24 different variants in different sizes, like wide ones, square ones, whatever, and in different sizes in terms of like widths. And then on different parts of the website, all my images, they're not just an image, they're like a picture tag with a load of different options depending on the browser and the size of the device and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to, but so building this tool took me quite a while. And then there was iterations to make it better and so on. But it's really neat because it achieves stuff that in WordPress is the perpetual problem, like what size images do you upload? I don't have that problem because it shows the right size image to the right person on the right device all the time anyway. But like, I could have not done that. And it's one of those where I always improve and iterate, and like probably every week there's a small update that I do that improves it. But it kind of depends how much you want. Because I still feel that there's a million, like, for example, I want to build a whole analytics package which automatically pulls data from Search Console, from Google Analytics, from YouTube Studio and everywhere else, and automatically does the stuff that I currently manually track. Like, I just haven't got around to doing it. There's a million things on that list.
So speaking of analytics then, how did your sites ride the turbulence of all of the algorithm updates this last year?
Not good. I mean, like, so my main site is a travel website. So, and so obviously, so a lot of the content is Europe related as well, where the Brexit stuff wasn't being kind to it anyway. And then the pandemic was not kind to it. It's kind of bumbling along. It's getting, what is it, like, I can't remember, 50, 60,000 users a month. It's earning some money, but I was kind of hoping it would be doing slightly better than that. But yeah, it's doing okay. It's doing much better than I think it could have been doing. And certainly I've seen some other people with websites in the travel industry who got just completely wiped out. I'm quite lucky in the fact that I've not really ever been hit by an algorithm change ever at all. And I think that's, I never try to optimize for the algorithm. I keep talking about it. I always try to optimize for like the user experience and like what would make this even better. And I think maybe that's partly maybe I was lucky to some degree, but just like, so I never get hit by those things. So it's just the sort of seasonality things that tend to hit me. So at the moment, I think like it's like this month is going to generate about $1,200 in ad revenue. That site. It's okay. For a travel website in the middle of the worst pandemic in living memory.
Awesome.
People like to dream, right?
Yes. Well, I'm looking at the time, so we are a couple minutes from the top of the hour. So, folks, if you are still here, thank you so much for watching. If you have any further questions for Sasha, I would tell you to dump those in right now, because we're probably going to close up right here at the top of the hour. For the folks that are here, as long as we're on the topic of analytics, I just wanted to throw out there that in the last 3 days, my site that has bounced around since the Christmas update came out just skyrocketed about 30 or 40% the last 2 days, which is
Nice.
Unusual. And I don't know why. And it's
What's the niche? You don't mention the niche.
I don't talk about my...
Well, the reason I'm asking is, so my travel website does this every single Boxing Day. Mm-hmm. So I had a 40% bump this Boxing Day, despite everything. And it has been doing that every year as well. So I think there are some niches where people just switch their mentality to, I'm going to begin thinking about next year. So if your niche is summer focused or some kind of aspirational or like, changing your lifestyle or anything like that.
One page, and it has nothing to do with Boxing Day. And I also went to check the traffic to see if it was, a specific place or whatever else. And there wasn't any massive changes like that. So Stiggs asks, is there any videos in the hopper? And actually, I'm going to use this opportunity to use the ladies' room. So this is all you, Sasha. There's a question for Stiggs.
I'm not quite sure I fully get the question. As in, any videos being worked on? I know there's a slight delay. I'm not sure I'm really getting. There's always videos I'm working on, but I think I might be missing the point here. I'm gonna wait for the answer just a second. But at the moment, I'm working on quite a few different video concepts that are going to be quite a lot more exciting / interesting, probably on the second channel. And then the stuff I've been doing so far, has been very information / motivation led, I guess. And there's one that I'm working on right now, which I might be able to release this side of New Year, but there's quite a lot of work. I'm like halfway done with it. On the main channel, it's just a constant flow, really. I'm trying to figure out what my overall plan is and how I can build these hubs of content so that I have people who recently have come in through like one video but don't subscribe, don't like get the full amount of engagement, and then they get shown some secondary videos that are sort of related, where that might just get them over the edge. So I'm focusing on doing that kind of stuff, and I've narrowed down my field. So part of the reason why I started the second channel in the first place is that part of the reason I started the second channel is to narrow the niche and the scope. Luke's saying, I saw a trade of such a big video is great. This is a really interesting thing. Actually, that's a really important thing that I wanted to cover, which is I had a big video that I was working on, which was very much down the CoffeeZilla kind of vibe and guys in this from a different angle, talking about fake gurus and stuff. And I was working on it. It was like a sort of documentary style video, and I lost it when I was moving to my new studio. Just accidentally deleted it as part of a bunch of stuff I was deleting and moving. But anyway, and I decided to redo it and do it better. And I started doing that, and I've done just over half of it. But then as I was sitting around Christmas time, I was kind of thinking what my overall strategy for the channel is, and kind of talking through it with my wife. And I think I came to this realization that I think I heard Meet Kevin talk about something like this at one point, which is like, I think it's really good to try to be more positive just generally, and try to sort of like talk about things that people can do to improve their lives, things that like just like look forward rather than sort of being bickering. So I kind of fell into this trap with some of my content in the past where I was like overtly maybe too negative about stuff and like calling people out. And sometimes that's important. Sometimes that's really useful, and sometimes it's handy. But in this industry where, like ultimately to some people, what I do may feel the same as what, say, some of these fake gurus do. Like I'm talking about building an online business, and so are they. And maybe we're on different ends of the spectrum, but that might not be the case to some people. And maybe in the future, I'm going to do a course, and in my eyes, it will be far better because I'm not going to be selling snake oil, and it's not going to cost $10,000. But it's one of those where you're kind of thinking, well, is this really need? Like, am I going to really benefit in the long term? Maybe you'll get some viral value because it's like high quality production and stuff like that. But I kind of decided, I've kind of parked it, and I decided not to. It was going to come out yesterday, I think, or whatever, but I decided to can it because I'm kind of thinking I need to just be more positive as just my overall attitude to things. Like there's no point in picking battles that don't really get you close to your long-term goal. But I'm just kind of trying to change my approach slightly with this. So it's a good question, Luke.
You know, it's interesting. I missed part of that, and I was in the chat. It took me so long to get back because the zipper on the onesie got stuck, and so then I'm like frantically behind the scenes, like trying to get it off, which is why I didn't put it back on. But on TikTok, there's this thing where people basically build their whole channels by duetting other big channels' videos and then just reacting, right? So their whole channel, you know, they have followers basically built on the ups and downs and content created by others. And then what do you really have at the end of the day? Once you have,
because I think some people think, oh, well, I have X number of subscribers, but I think like there's subscribers and then the subscribers. Like, for example, earlier I found another channel in the UK personal finance niche. I mean, I've seen this guy do this a bit. He's the only guy in the personal finance niche I've seen who's an actual financial advisor. You know how we all say we're not, you know, in the videos as a disclaimer, but which is kind of funny. But so this guy, I'm not going to name the channel, but he literally like rips off my videos sometimes, like the entire content structure, things I say. In some videos, he points out things that are like so unique to something that I've said that I've not heard any, or like something that's very based on my experience or whatever. Then I'm like, okay, that he definitely had to rip that off. And one came out a few days back where he did exactly that as well, which I find kind of entertaining. He's got double my subscribers, but actually quite low views. And I think it's like kind of some people do things to grow their base, but are they like, is that valuable? Is that going to allow you to then in the future scale, monetize, etc.? The answer is no. If they're all like fake or you've acquired them from some random Facebook group or something, is there real value in that?
I'm not just talking about like the modeling, right? Like I'm going to make my videos look like theirs. I'm talking about making content that is you know, calling out like
I agree.
Content where you just go and just call out, you know, all these various people and then make content about these other people. But as far as what value do you have then? Because people watch this and maybe they subscribe, but are they subscribing for you?
Exactly. Or yes. They're not going to be much about audiences, I guess the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, I agree with you.
How really valuable is it? And then when you transition to trying to make other value type content, how interested is that audience going to be?
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather have a much smaller but very engaged and very like interested audience rather than go down that road.
Yeah, except that all of us, it's hard not to get distracted by the vanity metrics. Like it feels good to cross.
I just keep seeing every day these people. Like I can see people and I can look at their metrics and I look at like, you know, like through publicly available stuff, like the trends of their user base growth and the trends on the viewing numbers and stuff. And I'm like, this just doesn't look right. I don't care what it is you're doing. It's just like I like learning from people who I can see doing some really great stuff. And when I see people like really nailing it, I just want to know exactly what they're doing to nail it and whether I can apply some of those learnings. But it's critical to kind of differentiate between people who are doing that from people who are just trying to fake it until they make it as a strategy.
Awesome. Well, it is the top of the hour. You've hung on for a whole hour, and the folks that have come and gone, thank you so very much for being here. What I will do after the fact is I'm going to, and I forgot to do it because this is the whole new thing. Usually I do this in advance, but there will be, for people catching this on the replay, there will be links to all of Sasha's stuff. So his two channels, your two YouTube channels will be
thank you.
in the description. And then I also put a link to my main channel. So if somebody catches this and would like to, I make videos on my other channel about websites and all the rest. And then all the live stuff is going to be over here for 2021. Let's commit to that. 2021 this is the live channel, and maybe one day I'll have a name for it.
Well, I guess this will be your next 10K. So you get to 10K on your first channel next year, and then this is the one that you're going to have to get to 10K in 2022, right?
Yeah, in the trenches. Sticks thinks that we should call this In the Trenches, and I might. I mean, I don't know. I just throwing it out there. In the trenches. Basically, this is a channel for people to come and just who really are doing it. This isn't for the lurkers.
Yeah.
This is for the place.
I like it. Yeah, Emilia in the trenches. Maybe a picture of you in some ditch covered in mud.
Sasha, thank you so very much for taking the time to be here. Renat, we're just wrapping up. You just literally just wrapping up. Renat, catch the replay. Let us know what you think. Thank you so very much for coming in. I appreciate the heck out of you. So we'll see you guys next week. Oh yeah, who's coming on next week? He says, I think it's wrong to have a separate channel for who's coming next week. I think we have Nick Allen. So folks, if you want to catch a live stream with Nick, I think it will be one of his first. Subscribe. But we're going to talk to Nick live. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to your channel, Emilia. Subscribe to Emilia's this live channel.
All right, everybody. Take care.